this is a fun fact. In Malaysia, there's a law that says that you are not supposed to profit too much. If someone feels annoyed by what you write in your social media, be it is a post or is a comment, right, you can be charged under Section 233. Out of 10 potential clients or clients that comes knocking at my door, right, 9 of it have that problems if they don't do the base right.
What are some of the stories you can share that people come to you? Oh my god, Andros, please help me. Hello listeners, today we'll talk about something very important, which is corporate law. And today we have Andros Lim here with us from ZY Lim and Partners, right? So ZY Lim and Partners is a corporate and commercial boutique law firm established actually in 2024. And Andros has a vast experience working with different industries as well. Andros, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. I always introduce myself as a corporate lawyer. So I'm basically a lawyer that tends to prevent you or get you out from court so that you don't have to step into court at all.
Yeah, that's very important, right? So as today what we'll talk about is what are the important things that you need to take note of or to set up as a business so that you stay out of court, very importantly.
Yes.
In your introduction there also you used the word pragmatic. All right, so what do you mean by pragmatic?
Basically, when we are talking about pragmatic, there's a few buckets around it. So as a corporate lawyer, our definition of pragmatic is very different because we serve clients from all different sizes of companies. So when we talk about pragmatic, I normally have two buckets, two elements that I will take into account. Number one, to make sure that whenever we advise clients, these advice are basically well tuned to their business operations and the market. So if I'm not a pragmatic lawyer, I can give you an example. What does it mean by not being pragmatic is that lawyers that advise from the four corners of the laws. If the law says no, then I'll just tell you no. If the law says yes, I'll just tell you yes. But what if the law says nothing about it? I cannot be telling my client to say that, oh, the law didn't say anything, I don't know how to tell you, or I don't know how to answer you. So being pragmatic is more of, if the law says yes, then I'll just tell you yes. If the law says no, what can I do next to make sure that it's well aligned to your business? You don't jeopardize your business or it doesn't become an obstacle in your business. That's the first bucket. So the second bucket is basically practicality. So when we legal advisors, nowadays, the new generation of legal advisors coming out, we need to advise clients based on practicality. It's no longer where there's a carve on stone. You cannot do this or you can do this. It's more of telling clients that under the law, there is a way of doing things more practical or more efficient based on your business operations. So the next part is basically what we talk about as a little bit bonus element here. It's being a corporate lawyer is more of being a fortune teller. Okay. So what do I mean by a fortune teller? I can give you an example here. Let's say we rewind back 10 years back. The e-hailing market just emerged. Yep. We have Grab, we have Uber. At that point of time, the law didn't say no, the law didn't say yes. There was no regulation, there was no laws at all. But as a lawyer at that time, how would you advise some sort of client like this? Are you going to tell them there's nothing in the law? Or are you going to tell them that although there's nothing in the law, but in this near future, there may be certain regulations that comes in. And when this regulation comes in, at what type of form that it will come in? So these are the fortune telling that lawyers should be doing. As a corporate lawyer, when we advise our client, we should be doing some fortune telling. We cannot be telling them things that doesn't have any basis, for sure, but more of telling them, you look, although it's not regulated for now, but in near future, it might get regulated. And this is basically how law works. The law doesn't gets amended every 3 months. The main reason is because we only have every parliament sitting every probably 4 months. And if they get amended every 3 months, the enforcers or authorities doesn't know what to do with it. So law can never catch up with emerging markets. And when does the law catch up? When this market gets saturated. So are you going to wait for the market? If you are Grab or Uber, are you going to wait for the market? If they are not going to wait for the market. The moment you wait for the market, right, you're losing out already. So as corporate lawyers, being pragmatic, it's more of these three elements. You need to be very well aligned to your client. I don't normally call my clients as clients. I call my clients as collaborators because we collaborate on their business operations, their directions, their pathway, and what do they want to find in this near future, their objectives lah.
So we actually connected on LinkedIn, and a lot of our connections and friends are on LinkedIn as well. So we are speaking to a lot of business owners. So what do they need to consider if you are a startup, you're running a business? What do they need to consider when it comes to law?
Get a good lawyer. It's like self-promoting, but I have seen collaborators or potential clients that come knocking on our doors to say that I have this problem. But whenever they tell us this story, the story of their problem, most of the time it has already evolved into a stage where it's more of a litigious kind of matter, where you need to go to the court, you need to fight it out. But if you have lawyers from day one in your company, you basically have some sort of preventive measure in your company where your lawyers are advising you based on your company's operations, how to protect you in terms of your contracts, how to protect you in terms of complying with the laws. So if for startups or SMEs, most of the time they try to say, to save some money lah, let's not go to the lawyers, let's do it DIY ourselves. Yes, I cannot deny that today with AI, with all the resources on Google, you can just easily Google it out. A template, this agreement, or template that agreement, right? But how well tuned this agreement is to your company, that is also another question. So for businesses, for really startups, small businesses that are starting up, the most important part is your foundation. I would say it's your foundation. Why? The main reason is because if let's say you are coming in as a few shareholders, few partners, business partners, get a proper agreement between yourselves. Whether it's a founders agreement, whether it's a shareholders agreement, get something in writing first, because it's going to get ugly in the future. I'm not trying to spill, like people say in Cantonese, put lang sui, right?
Yeah.
But out of 10 potential clients or clients that comes knocking at my door, right, 9 of it have that problems if they don't do the base right. So your shareholders agreement, your founders agreement, get it right first. The next thing is your licensing, your compliance with laws. If there's any requirements for licensing and all, right, get it done first. One example that I can give is I spoke to a startup founder in December last month. What happened was we were through a coffee chat. It wasn't a client solicitor relationship. It was just a casual coffee chat. So he was raising up that he's saying that I want to offer more services in my application. And one of the services is to bring tourists around KL to the spots that I've highlighted in my app. And I raised this question back to him. To a certain extent, you might be working as, or you might be operating as a tour agency. So have you ever considered about that? Yeah. There's also another coffee chat that I had with another startup founder to say that they were using AI to filter candidates for recruitment, to help companies to get their the proper candidates for interviews. What happened next was they want to expand further to recruitment. My next question is that, are you a registered or licensed private employment agency? So these are the questions where a lot of startup founders, yes, you have good ideas, you have brilliant ideas, but run through the brilliant ideas, bounce it off towards a lawyer and see whether this is legal or there's any additional steps that you need to take through.
Hey everyone, producer Elton here. We share stories from business leaders in Asia, and if this video brought you any value, hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on the bell notification icon to get notified of our latest episodes. Thank you for your support. See you back in the video.
So that's very important, right? So it's like looking into, like you said, the crystal ball, right? And looking at where are the things that might cause some legal issues. Am I right?
I think the perspective of a lawyer, like for me, I'm a corporate lawyer. I do regulatory and compliance. So from my perspective, I look at things differently. So if I were to enter into a shop, a brand new shop, right, I've never seen before, right, the first thing that I will look at, right, is not the products. The first thing I look at is the licenses that are hanging on their walls. So it's like architects, right? Architects, the first thing that when they see a nice building, right, they will just go and feel and touch what type of material. So it's like corporate lawyers are like that as well. We go and look and see what type of licensing they require. So in terms of new businesses, you need to get the foundation right, lah. If your foundation is wrong, right, let's just trash out things like you want to do your fundraising rounds. Investor comes in, right, and say, look, dude, I've done due diligence on you. You don't even have a proper licensing. How do you operate? So that's the next question on the next stage, where at that stage, if you try to clean up, it's going to create more mess.
Hey everyone, producer Elton here. We share stories from business leaders in Asia, and if this video brought you any value, hit the subscribe button down below, like and share with your friends. Thank you.
So yeah, you look at the corporate licenses. I also go and see, I got this, license, this license, that license has not as well. So speaking to a lot of startups and SME business owners, right? What are the common mistakes that you see?
Common mistakes that I see for SMEs and startups is that they tend to think that at this stage, I'm very small. When I'm small means I can try to do things under the radar. I'm not saying illegal, but I'm saying things where I can do gray area things under the radar. But you will never know when you can grow big. And at a certain point when you grow big, to cover all of these under radar things, right, is going to create more issues for you. Because you're trying to cover up probably 3-4 years history of under radar gray area that you're dwelling with. So what I normally tell startup founders, because I love speaking to startup founders. So when I speak to them, I tell them the first thing is get things right first. Don't try to go under radar, because if you try to go under radar, things will emerge at the end. And how are you going to cover it up? So that is the first mistake. The second common mistake is basically friends are friends, but when you are in business, just try to draw a line. Just try to draw a line. Because why? The main reason is because a lot of founders, co-founders, when they get together, they're normally buddies. Someone from uni, someone from probably we have met through and we have, watched and play football together and all the stuff, right? So these are the people where you don't know where to draw your lines in casual terms and in business terms. So first thing first, if you are in this type of group of people, draw your lines. That's why I say get your agreements ready between your founders and shareholders, draw a proper line, make sure that all of you are well aware what you can do, what you cannot do, what is your responsibility, what is your duty. Yep. So at a certain point of time, if things go south for your startup, things doesn't go south for your friendship.
So the founders and shareholders agreement very important. What other agreements are very important also?
I would say there's quite a number of agreements that are very important. For startup level, of course, you're very small. You dwell a lot between your internal stakeholders. That is one. Number two, you might grow into a medium-sized organization where you start to employ people. So employment is also another issue that you're looking at right now. Your employment contracts, your employment handbooks. Okay, a lot of people will go through and say employment contracts are very common. There's nothing to be worried about. Yes, if your employment contract is based on just the Employment Act, it's very common, it's very normal, it's easy to get drafted. But we look into other policies regarding your employment, for example, sexual harassment, for example, bribery. So all of these must be in your handbook. And whether your company has a handbook, that's also another question. So these agreements when you slowly grow towards, let's say you're getting your products marketed, you are getting service providers coming in from you, then you slowly will have to develop things like your TNCs, your terms and conditions, your privacy policy. If you're doing some products are online and all, then you will have your TNCs and privacy policies. So slowly it will grow towards it. I cannot provide a cookie cutter answer because each business has their own perks. That is why I said get a lawyer.
Yes, get a lawyer and sit down and have a chat with them and get
Yes.
the right advice, right? So especially somebody like Andros as well. So I think HR we covered out founders agreement. Like when it comes to founders, right? I always hear this maybe I'll get your take on this. Some people say to me when it comes to co-founder agreement, there's no 50-50 or 30-30-30, right? Or what is your thoughts on that?
Okay, as a corporate lawyer, we normally advise our clients, don't separate your shareholding to 50-50.
Okay.
Because in an event of a deadlock, it's really a deadlock. To solve the deadlock is either you buy up each other's shares. One of the person will buy out another person's shares. So what I would say is that normally we'll ask them to get probably somewhere around 60-40. Or if you want to go to a certain maximum extent, 51-49. The main reason is because you need to make a decision to make sure the company moves on. Whether there's a dispute or there's some arguments at the founders level, it shouldn't be carried to your operational level. So your staff will still need to jalan, your products will still need to be sold. So arguments at that level shouldn't be carried to the operational level.
Yeah. So that is very important. So it doesn't carry on. So you have somebody who is making the final decision, right? That has the majority shares.
Yes, correct. But of course, for the other co-founder, they would think that I'm the minority, I'm 49%. So I cannot be making decisions. Is it? There are certain variations in your founders agreement or certain variations in your shareholders agreement that allows you to do that. So really, that's why I said, if you were to go and find a lawyer, make sure you find a lawyer that provides a very tailored agreement to your operation. Because there are certain law firms that provides shareholders agreement or founders agreement based on a template. And this template might not be aligned to you. Let's say if you're 49%, but you get to make certain decisions. Let's say 49% is owned by a CTO, a Chief Technology Officer. The decisions on all tech-related items should be made by a CTO, right? So this is where the decisions of a 49% might put on a heavier weight as compared to the 51% shareholder.
Right, that's very important indeed. So you have a lot of vast experience, right? So all the things you mentioned just now, very important. So I just want to paint a better story to the audience as well. What are some of the stories you can share that people come to you? Oh my God, Andros, please help me.
In terms of stories, right, I share a lot of stories on LinkedIn. So, but to say a noteworthy story, I don't really have a proper noteworthy story, because I treat every single relationship that I have with all my collaborators as a form of collaboration. So it's more of trying to help them. It's trying more of assisting them and looking at them to, as they grow and prosper, right? This is the satisfaction that I get, right? But a very noteworthy story that I can tell of how this collaboration works. I left my previous firm quite abruptly, because of some inconsistencies. That's why I always get your agreements right. Then I started my firm. But when I started my firm, my three main clients that I existed all along, they gave me a call immediately and tell me, Andros, we need to speak. So I met up with them, I speak to them, and they said, I appreciate what you have done throughout. You have been, walking and running alongside with us, helping us to grow. And now, since you have started yourself, we need to provide you the support. So that is where I found out the power of collaboration. You collaborate with your clients, you collaborate with your connections, rather than treating it as just, it's just another customer, just another invoice. So whether there's any noteworthy story, I don't think so. Yep. But I think these are the things where the cycle comes back. Yep. The cycle comes back, and I was helping them throughout for the past 6 months plus. and they came back and tell me that I'm helping you at this round.
Yeah. All right. That's very important indeed. So we are actually, of course, like a media company, right? So what do companies need to take note of? We met on LinkedIn, right? So what do they need to take note of when it comes to social media?
Okay. As a non-lawyer advice, don't trust anything you read or you see or you watch or you hear in social media. Always do your fact check. But in terms of managing or being the handler of the social media, right? Let's say you have a social media account for a company and all. What is more important is make sure you have full control of every single content inside. Whether it's content published by you, or it's commented by someone else, or it's shared by someone else with some additions, all of these must be fully controlled. Okay, I have to refer to the law. One of the things that I this is a section under the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, and it's section 233. When I talk about the section, right, you might not know about the section, but if I tell you, if you search section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act in Google, you will find out that there's a lot of news report about people getting charged for that. And these type of people are basically someone who comments on the Facebook, someone who tries to, even politicians are being charged for this. So let me just read a snippet of Section 233 for you. So Section 233 basically made it an offense for anyone who made any comment, request, suggestion, or other communication which is obscene, indecent, false, menacing, or offensive in character, with intent to, this is a surprise, with intent to annoy, abuse, threaten, or harass another person. So it's a very, very broad law to say that if someone feels annoyed by what you write in your social media, be it is a post or is a comment, right, you can be charged under Section 233. Okay, but the next question you say, I'm not the user, someone who posted the comment. Why is it got to do with me as a handler? You handle, if you are handling the social media account and you're providing a platform for someone to comment that, you're also part of it under the subsection 2.
I see. Now I'll be very careful. People comment on our YouTube videos, huh?
Correct. I think as a media company, of course, the next thing a lot of people always overlook is basically public policy. Public policy is not like a rigid written law. There's a lot of considerations given that the public policy or the public itself changes, the perception changes from time to time. So as corporate lawyers also, we do handle some of the PR related issues that companies face. And whenever we try to chart certain campaigns or certain promotional activities, we will try to chart according to the public perception as well.
All right, that's very important. So we have to take note of that. So before we go, I think this is the last question. I know in summary, right, like how we started this interview, find the right lawyer. What other advice would you give to the businesses out there?
Okay, I would say for most businessmen, business owners, the main item that you normally will think of is your business is your baby. So just imagine, what would you do for your baby? You would, number one, you probably will get some insurance. You'll get something to protect, put a shelter over it. So it's not just engaging lawyers. Lawyers, yes, it helps on the legal perspective, but there are other parts where you need to protect as well. For example, accounting side, your HR side. So all of these works in an ecosystem within your organization. And if one fails, the other will come together. So don't just focus just on lawyers, but also focus on other people. But of course, under the law for companies Sdn Bhd, it's a must for you to have an auditor and have an accountant ready, right? Every year you have to make the proper lodgement, right? And that is given. But on HR side, that is given also because of the Employment Act. The legal side, there's nothing given, because you don't know when you will run into those laws when you will go against laws, right? Just before I conclude this, let me just share a story on this on running against laws. I used to advise a multinational company that manufacture and distributes food and beverages. Super huge company, international level, but they run into some investigation from the authorities. So this investigation is basically an investigation on profiteering. Okay, this is a fun fact. In Malaysia, there's a law that says that you are not supposed to profit too much. So it's based on your profit margin or your percentage of what you have earned last year from a single product. And if the price increases too much, you'll be considered as profiteering, and it's an offense. So this client was investigated, and the investigation took about 3 to 4 weeks. Till the end of the investigation by the Ministry of Domestic Trade, right? The investigation came out just a piece of paper and tell them that we found out there was nothing wrong. You are good to go. But the client has spent 3 to 4 weeks allocating resources just to compile data, compile information, get the lawyers ready to make sure that we make proper correspondences with the ministry for 3 to 4 weeks. You could have done a lot of other productive things from there. So there's a lot of times where companies will think, the fine is just 50,000 lah. This one, if we cannot caught 50,000 lah. If we are not caught, we save 50,000. Well, why should we pay for legal fees, which costs about 10% or 20% of it? But the main issue is not just on your money; it's also on your resources that you'll be allocating to clear this mess up.
Yep. All right. That's very important indeed. So most importantly, all right, so you mentioned just now, baby, treat your business like a baby. So Andros also recently a new father, so congratulations.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
So to find Andros, he shares a lot of stories on LinkedIn. So please follow him, Andros Lim, on LinkedIn. And ZY Lim Partners will put the link in the description. Please contact them if you have any more questions or need any help as well. Andros, thank you for sharing today.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.